You, Mike, and Larry were here.
August, we're still,
For
we
August?
need Isaac here to get August.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
'Cause
You, Mark.
You have Mike.
Well, hello again.
Hi.
Oh,
I had to go get some dishes.
Hi, Mark. How are you? Mike Nichols.
so unless Isaac comes, we'll need to,
We'll table August. Yeah. Is he coming? Do we know?
He is not.
He's not coming, so we should probably table August then.
Solid, you clarify it for the record, and then how you want to order it.
Fine. I can
If
do
you
that.
don't mind.
Sounds like a plan.
A little bit.
I can smell myself. Not a bad thing.
The agenda.
Okay, yep, that's the one
Just-
they've always used, but I will change it.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
They've used that before?
Mhm.
I thought it was fun. Yeah.
That I'm not sure.
Do we have everybody here, Don, you expect to have as far as members? Okay, so it being 5:30 by my phone, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item is roll call of members.
Mike Nichols.
Here.
Larry Mosier. Joe Stevens.
Here.
Isaac Chavez. Mark Mills.
Here,
Joseph Bookwalter.
Here.
Chris Salva.
Here.
okay, the next item is adoption, if we could, of the last two sets of minutes. I'll let our attorney Alicia explain
So
why we can't do that.
we can go ahead and do the June minutes. Typically, what we try to do is we try to have members who are present for the meeting vote in favor of the minutes, and then the members who were absent from the meeting abstain. In this case, for June, one of our members that was present was Megan Sheets, and she's no longer on the commission, so we will never be able to adopt them with a majority of the members who are present. So we can go ahead and adopt those as long as we've got members of the commission who have read them, and Robert said he had read them and reviewed them. For August, we don't have all of the members present, so the August minutes, I would recommend we just table until we do have members present, since it is possible for us to have a majority of the members present at a future meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the June 26th meeting minutes.
I second.
I think the voting people will be the members who made the motions and myself, so have the roll call. This would be the June 26th
Don't I need to go through all of them?
You can go through all of them. And then if you've reviewed the minutes, even if you weren't present, you can vote in favor of them. If you want to abstain, you can abstain. We do need 4 members in order to pass the minutes, though.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Larry Mosier,
Aye.
Joe Stevens,
Aye.
Mark Mills,
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter,
I abstain.
Chris Salva.
I abstain.
And that's the June 26th. I think Alicia recommended to table the 28th. That probably does not need a motion, I don't think.
You can do a motion to table. You don't have to, though. It's fine if you don't. Up to you guys.
I won't call for a motion unless anyone else really feels strong about it. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Wildlife Resources LLC, docket CPC, stands for City Plan Commission 2024 R06. It's for Phase 2, Section 1, secondary plat of the subdivision. So I'll turn it over to Don to explain what we're reviewing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the City Plan Commission. Tonight, a hearing has been set for the reading and passage of secondary approval of the Meadowbrook Phase 2, Section 1 plot. In the UDO in Section 7, I believe it's 710, let me make sure, 70106, it says that major and minor subdivision secondary approval procedures shall be as follows: that after all conditions of the primary approval have been met and construction plans have been approved, the subdivider may request secondary approval for all of Phase 1 of the primary plat from the Plan Commission. All the requirements have been met, but I want to go through all your what you're going to be looking at or what you should be thinking about. After the subdivision administrator has announced the date for the hearing before the Plan Commission, we've notified the individuals. We really, I believe, didn't have to really have a hearing for this, but we did anyway to be safe. And prior to the secondary approval, all streets and other required improvements must be constructed or completed as required according to the approved construction plans. Such improvements shall not be considered complete until they are certified as complete in accordance with the approved specifications of this ordinance by a certifying professional engineer or land surveyor who has been approved by the Board of Public Works and Safety and a Plan Commission, and as alternative, a performance guarantee furnished by the subdivider may be filed with a secondary plat application in manner specified by the UDO Section 701.07, and a primary bond has been set. So the recommendation is that that we pass the secondary approval. All requirements that are that need to be on this plat have been met. We've checked them all off as we received it. So everything that's required to be in this record plat is provided in front of you. And we recommend that the passage, that you consider passage of this. Also, we have, not only do we have a performance bond, but we have a maintenance bond, which is required also for all the utilities, city utilities, and we have the bonds for all of those also. So that way, if anything occurs in the first 3 years, that has been secured as far as any damages or anything needs to be repaired. That will be taken care of. Phil Triplett, who's here representing F&K. Phil, you want to say a few things?
Yeah, I'm Phil Triplett, the attorney for F&K. Don't really have much to add to that. I think Don covered it fairly in depth. F&K has complied with all the requirements from the primary plat. The ordinance essentially provides that if they've done all that and submitted an application that's complete, that the Plan Commission is supposed to grant the secondary approval. So we would ask that you grant the secondary approval for Phase 2, Section 1.
I should just clarify, I know it says Phase 2, but technically, phase one is the eastern part of the overall primary plat that we approved probably almost a year ago now. And
Phase one is the part that was done back initially. So the whole project is phase two. So it's just section one. So the entire project,
Okay,
all
okay.
three
I get what you're
sections
saying.
are part of phase two.
okay, I get the, yeah,
Yep.
phase one was
Was
built
long ago.
a couple
Yeah.
decades ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is section one of
Gotcha.
phase two. Yes, and just to reiterate, based on Indiana code, if they have complied with everything, it is your obligation to approve that plat.
And they've opted to build much of it, but they do need to file a financial guarantee for the
And-
part that's not built. Not only the public facilities on the plat area, but like for instance, drainage facilities off-site that affect, section one. And my understanding is that it's all been approved by all the appropriate review, like the drainage board, the utilities, the Board of Works. I mean, they've all said that this performance guarantee,
It has,
and our attorney says it's in the right format, right?
that is true. I will say that we do have a form where where Todd Corey has signed off that all the utilities are in place and are proper. Dan Sheets has signed off saying that the storm system is in place and the ponds are good for section one of this subdivision. I also want to say that these lots are all proper. The minimum acreage is 8,700 square feet, and every lot is way above that. And 60 or 70-foot front, 60-foot fronts are required, and I think it's 60, maybe. Let me look real quick. I want to make sure I'm right. But it's all proper as far as their lot sizes. It is 70 feet frontage, all set in place and ready for passage if the plan commission so decides.
I've been watching the street go in. It's got the pavement down, the curbing, and the sidewalks will be done after construction of the house, which is
Yeah,
operating procedure, I believe.
It is, and you can't get a occupancy permit until the sidewalks are in place.
Right, that's kind of a given, so sidewalks will be covered. Well, they can't,
the
they can't occupy
the
until
builder.
the sidewalk is in. Yeah,
Now, the sidewalk is put in by the builder, the person who builds the house.
But once the house is constructed.
Yeah,
because you don't want to tear the sidewalk up as you bring the heavy equipment in and out, which is not, that's common practice most places. And I know we got several new members who probably weren't here for the primary plat. I don't know, what month was it about a year? Just January? It's been that-
yeah, we've been pretty much on target, so I think it was
Okay, good.
January of this year.
But what this does will allow them to actually record the plat and hypothetically pull permits for houses and sell lots if they choose to.
And we passed the construction plans. So,
So we're just making sure all the Ts are crossed, all the Is dotted. And like Don said, this really doesn't need to be a public hearing because at this point, if they meet standards, we have to approve. And so, but this, I want to just open it up. Does anyone else have any comments to make on this? Just since we got a few folks here. But if all the officials are saying everything's met, we really, in a way, can't say no to some extent at this step of the process.
I'll make, pardon me, I'll make the motion that we approve as listed there.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Roll call, please.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Larry Mosier, Joe Stevens,
Aye.
Mark Mills,
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter,
Aye.
Chris Alba.
Aye.
Okay, so we got our secondary plat, and I imagine we probably have to, some of us have to sign that,
yes,
either tonight or
so
sometime.
we're going to sign it tonight.
Okay,
We'll get done and
And I have
get that taken care of.
And then we should also close the public hearing.
we'll close the public hearing on this item then. Thank you. Then go on to the next item, which is a public hearing initiated by the city of Frankfurt It's docket CPC 2024-07. It's addition to modify 503.13 fences and 521.06 political signs of our fairly recently adopted UDO, Unified Development Ordinance. These are a couple changes that were kind of overlooked. When we adopted it, we knew there were going to be probably quite often, tweaks or even major amendments to this document. These things, because there's a lot of material in here and standards. And the committee met, and these two were approved for hearing separately earlier rather than later. And I'll turn it over to Don to explain what these are about.
Before I get into that, I do want to add one more thing for the secondary, and that is we have a complete set of covenants that will be part of this secondary also. As Mark has mentioned, this will be the first of probably several coming before you as far as amendments to be made. We're making additions to it by historic standards and stormwater issues, and so there'll be a series. And we're also looking at constructions of streets and to amend some of those things that are in there also. But tonight before you, we want to look at 50313, which are fences. Fences are permitted as an accessory structure in any district, required by an improved location permit, and must meet the visual clearance requirement of UDO Section 30611. The height of all fences will be measured from ground level and must meet the following standards. We want to add to that says that fences have no required setbacks from primary or accessory structures on the same property, because it has been mentioned before that the fence is considered an accessory structure, and accessory structures can't be within 10 feet of each other. So that's the reason why we've asked that you amend the fence 50313 to add that fences have no required setbacks from primary or accessory structures on the same property.
It is permitted, at this hearing, we actually can make amendments before we send it to city council. And so again, for the new members, this is something we recommend to city council for final approval. The previous hearing, we had the final review after everyone else has already looked at it, so kind of the difference. So we're a recommendation on this.
Also, we want you to consider 521.06 temporary signs. The following temporary signs are permitted within all zoning districts subject to these conditions, and we want to look at condition under section H, political signs. A sign shall be erected for not more than 30 days before the primary election. We want to change the 30 days to 60 days before a primary election, a general election, and then we want to add or advertise referendums. Signs will be removed no later than 6 days after the primary election, general election, or an advertised referendum. We have come across the state of Indiana that basically says that within 60 days of any of these primaries or general election or even a caucus, that the state cannot legislate what type of political signs can be in people's yards during those 60 days prior. So we want to adjust our ordinance to meet what the state is requesting, and also it is what the county has in place. So that makes it all a lot easier to deal with in this year's primary election, being the fact that it was both city and county. We got into a lot of challenges with the signs, because out in the county they can be 60 days. 60 days we're not in the city and signs were popping up all over. So it didn't make a lot of sense for us to continue to be a 30-day when the state of Indiana kind of requests it and the county already has it in place. So we ask that you look at amending that also, or sending the recommendation to the council for passage.
So in other words, we're making this really in compliance with state law. Now, how does this differ, though, from people who leave things up year-round? I mean, what's your position on that? Because that's bound to come up.
This
Well,
would only be for political signs.
right.
So other signs Yeah, so
We're not
other
dealing
signs would
with-
be in.
We're not dealing with flags or any of that nature. That's freedom of speech, I guess, is what has been considered. We're just talking about political signs that get put in the yard. I can tell you that I have asked, I don't react to them unless I get a complaint. If I get a complaint, I go out and check it out. I got a complaint of a political sign in a person's yard way before the time. So I went up and asked them to remove it until, I said 60 days, even though it's supposed to be 30. I'm not legislating it right now, as I knew that hopefully this was going to be passing and not necessary for me to be mandating a 30-day process. So I deal with them as a complaint. If a complaint comes in, then I go out and see what's going on. If nobody complains, let her ride, baby.
Because as you all know, we have flags and things up year-round, which is different than kind of what we're addressing here. This is more of the official signs. Is there any comments from the audience, including Liz?
I was just gonna note to help address that, the signage ordinances, both sets of them and all the different jurisdictions, yours, but also the others, it's not just one phrase on political signs, you've got like, I don't know, would you say probably 8 pages?
Yeah.
Differently, and it's divided between temporary signs, permitted signs, which include a number of free speech items outside of political, and things like house numbers and stuff like that. And then you have commercial signs, both freestanding and building mounted. And then finally, you have off-premise signs, which is what people would commonly call billboard, but there's reasons why terminology isn't that way. And actually, Mark was pretty heavily involved in the original drafting of all of those years ago. And so all the rest of that is still there. Other types of signs would follow with the same way they have all the way along with what category they fall in. You're just looking at the political sign.
Because
There's a whole, it's not just one phrase.
there are other, because our science section, if you read through the UDO, is very specific, as Liz was saying. There's a lot of thought given to it, and it's been tried and tested, and it's somewhat similar to most other cities and places around. Is there any other comments from anyone in the audience? This is a public hearing, and in this case, we can say yes, no, or qualified or amended referral or certification to city council. No other comments? Do we need a motion to close the
No,
public
you
hearing?
just need to close it. You don't need a
Okay,
motion.
well, I will then declare the public hearing part closed. So do we have any questions from the members of Don or anybody else in general?
I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, because the ordinance committee did look it over, and it was reviewed and approved for public hearing, and then we are in effect certifying it to city council with the recommended changes by our zoning administrator, Don Stock, so.
I will just add that I was one of the people that brought this up originally, myself on the Republican side, Mark Newhart on the Democratic side. Everybody involved in the political process in this year's primary were in agreement that this ordinance needed amended, mainly for state and national candidates, because on their campaign trails, they get out early and try to get their signs in within the 60 days because they can't hit all of the places they need to go in the 30-day window.
Clarification, any other discussion? If not, we'll entertain for a motion to favorably certify the city council, or unfavorably certify the city council with the changes, the amendments that Don suggested on each of them.
Make a motion to certify or modify 503.13 for fences and 521.06 for political.
I'll second.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Larry Mosier,
Aye.
Joe Stevens,
Aye.
Mark Mills,
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter,
Aye.
Chris Alba.
And just for the audience, what night will this be brought before city council then?
At the next meeting,
Which is on,
October 14th.
okay, just
15th.
in case anyone's interested, because that's when they could have probably first reading.
Well, so the way that it works with the UDO, since we have already had the public hearing, they just approve that.
Be one reading.
So it'll just be one reading. So they just have to approve it. Since you guys have heard it, that kind of counts as the first reading and we have the public hearing. And then the city council will get it and they will just approve the changes.
So it'll be actually adopted prior to the election, not prior to even the 30 days.
About 30 days before the election.
Tried.
60 days before, so it would come into place.
Because we're already into 60 days, yeah. Have been, so. Okay, so that ends our 2 public hearings tonight, and I guess the other amendments, I'll probably wait for your report. Some of the other amendments we're working on, like the historic preservation standards, getting them. Yeah,
Yes.
we'll do that under.
Draft them first.
Okay, other business, is Good Oil, Banderas Point, signage plan update, and
Yeah, good evening. So I'll try not to make this too long. I'm sure you guys all have other places you'd like to be. But this is involving Banderas Point, which of course we've discussed several times since the annexation. And Alicia and I had discussed this. The basic summary of it is, as Good Oil is getting into actually the nitty-gritty of starting to put things together, they have priced out and looked at designs and realized that what they want to do for their sign plan is not exactly what they initially had put in the PUD. So the planned unit development states in it, this uniform sign plan may be amended by filing a new sign plan with the authority having jurisdiction. It does not say a hearing, but Alicia and I talked about this phraseology, and our feeling was that the intent is also not that they just literally hand a sign plan to the staff with a permit and call that a filing with the authority having jurisdiction. So as we worked through that language that maybe in hindsight we wish was a little more specific, our conclusion was what needed to happen is that sign plan needed to be formally filed before the City Plan Commission and accepted before permits could be issued following it. So just by way of summary, their original design was shades of brown, kind of a Western theme, brown rock at the bottom, and compliant with the lighting ordinances, those kinds of things. They have submitted a new design, which I believe you guys have gotten copies of. It is moving to more shades of black and white. There's still stone at the bottom. It's more of a modern type of style. They've submitted not only the main entry sign, which will be done in 2 phases, but ultimately will have everything on it. But then you can see the redo of what the directional signs and individual business signs will then look like to match it. And then additionally, they've noted the faces that appear white will be opaque, so no light will shine through those. In fact, there's actually, one of the pages shows you what it will look like at night to show that it will be compliant with the lighting ordinance where everything reverses and you don't have large areas of bright white shining out. And then they are compliant, like the previous plan, with the landscaping requirements in the general ordinance. And they've specified, just some differences in stone and appearance, and they do, I think, have somebody here, yep. In case you have questions about the specifics of it, but as staff administrating, this is something unique to the planned unit development. We don't typically require sign plans to be developed ahead of time. The primary concern that I had and that they complied with is that we have some sort of cohesive design. We're not changing one signs plan, but not thinking through how that looks in the overall development, since you're going to have a lot of different buildings there ultimately, and you want it to feel like it's put together, right? So as staff, I don't have any issue with some of the changes in their design and color. They have submitted a complete sign plan that specifies compliance with the lighting ordinance and is equivalent to what they have adopted now. So I don't know, do you have anything you want to add?
I would assume that since this straddles the city and county line, the similar request will be forwarded or has already been forwarded to the county.
So ultimately, if they wish to put any signage in the part that is not annexed before it is annexed, because I believe the intent is before they develop that back area, we actually have the subdivision divided. So I believe the intent is that Good Oil will be requesting annexation of the rest so that the subdivision secondary plat can actually be adopted, as there's really no way to handle that between 2 different lines with the way, it's platted and then split up. So I think the problem's going to solve itself, but right now, none of the signs they're requesting permits for are in the part that's still in the county. So they haven't submitted this to the APC just yet, and I think if it gets annexed, there won't there won't be a need for that, but their pressing issue is, as they're finishing up the fueling station in the front and they're starting on the ponds and the site work for the event center, they're wanting to get their central entry sign up that has their fueling prices and ultimately starts to announce the uses that they're getting in. And I'm unable to issue that permit because the design is not in compliance with the sign plan, thus, needing to submit an amendment to you guys.
And so the Amical sign will basically be where the BP is still kind of up. That's the location, or are they going to take that one down totally and put up a whole new sign?
Yeah. Yep. So they can only have one, this will actually be at the entryway, and you'll see not only does it have, the gas station for the Amico, and then they've kind of put in some spots down below where, they've put in Banderas Arena and a winery, but, other smaller businesses can go there. But on the other side, the hotels that are anticipated, once that second side is added, I believe if I understand correctly, initially they're going to do the left, if you're looking at it, the left side, but then they're designing it so they can then add the second sign once they start to see that build out. So you'll have some additional spots over there for other anchor users to have signage. And yeah, it will replace the other freestanding signage that's from before.
And again, for our newer members, I know there's at least one member who wasn't here for the Banderas Point hearing. It straddles the city and county line, so we had to have a bunch of joint meetings, and I think most of us were here for them, kind of back to back to back to back.
And everyone's worked together really, really well to do the best that we can to try to, it hit at a terrible time, for development, but everyone on all sides, I think we've all worked together as hard as we can to try to make it work and provide paths that don't hold up timelines.
One question, is the Hilton and the Marriott just representative of motels, or is this something that's being leaked? But okay, that's great. That's actually, that's the first I've heard, so that's really great news, and hopefully it comes to be.
We're super excited.
I thought you were gonna say those are just representative, I'm thinking, yeah, so.
I wasn't gonna, but,
I talked
but
to Don this morning, and
So is there any more questions of the members, of anybody who has?
So all we would need then is if this is agreeable to the Plan Commission, we would just need a motion to approve the sign plan that they have submitted to you.
And we would be the final approval in this case.
correct, because this isn't technically a public hearing. This is just the compliance with the adopted ordinance that they have to file a new sign plan with the authority having jurisdiction, so.
PUD originally went to city council as well.
That's
but
correct.
That's not
And-
the case now.
And city council agreed that these were gonna be the terms for these things, so, yeah, and if you don't wish to accept it, then some feedback so they know what it is they need to change so it's suitable would be helpful.
What prompted the sign change?
You can probably speak to that more than me, but I think,
mostly cost, and then also we wanted to make sure we allowed extra spaces for the other anchors that were coming. Obviously, with those hotels coming, they require a certain sign, and we had to accommodate that.
and when the PUD was drafted,
We weren't
that was
certain,
like a dream that
yeah,
wasn't,
we weren't
yeah.
certain we had nobody there for sure that was going to do those. We're pretty firm that that's the commitment that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? If not, we'll have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve this request for this sign change.
I'll second it.
Roll
Second,
call,
yeah.
please.
All right, Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Larry Mosier, Joe Stevens,
Aye.
Mark Mills,
Aye.
Joseph Bookwalter,
Aye.
Chris Alba.
That concludes our other business. I would imagine Don has some kind of report, but particularly you might want to update him on the comprehensive plan meetings we've been having, and also future amendments of the UDO that we've kind of put on the table, temporarily stopped to do the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, we have been meeting members from the Plan Commission along with some city council members as we're looking to make some amendments to, I don't know if amendments, just kind of updates for the Plan Commission or the comprehensive plan. And basically what we're doing is things that have been completed, we're saying has been completed. And then some things that we're still suggesting that hasn't been completed, that we try to set times for those items also. I think we got about one more meeting left before and then Alicia and I will get together. I've been making the changes as we progress through these meetings. We'll get together, we'll do a red line version of it, and because that was requested by the council members. And then if the council is kind of agreeable with it, not as a group, but as my councilmatic committee, then we'll bring it before you for recommendation to send it to the council. Is that how it goes, Alicia?
I think the council wanted to have a work session on it, so we might have the work session on it before we can get some feedback from the council before we bring it before the board, the plan commission to approve. So.
As far as the UDO, there are, we're working through historic preservation as we're moving it from a board to an overlay district. And that will be coming before you so that we can place that in the UDO. Also, we are getting ready to amend the stormwater. Alicia has that also, as that's been required by the state. So we're going through that, and we're going to bring that into the UDO also. It's a section that I administrate also, and so we're going to drop it into the UDO also. We're looking at some streets action also. If you remember correctly, when we did the primary plot of this Meadowbrook subdivision, the UDO required 36-foot wide streets, curb to curb, back of curb to back of curb. And you know, today I gave the mayor all kinds of information. It's not done in Carmel. It's not done in Lafayette. The width of 36 feet, the 28 or 30 is a pretty good. Matter of fact, some of that is even larger than necessary from Carmel or Lafayette, even though it's back to back. Where the biggest difference is that their required right-of-way is much larger than ours, and the reason for that is they put 5-foot sidewalks in, or on both sides of the street, or they put 10-foot pathways, and so that now extends the right-of-way even further than what ours is, which is only 60 feet. So in all reality, to ask for a variance to knock them down to 30 feet makes a lot of sense when you're into the subdivision or city street process. Now, if you're in a collector or a major thoroughfare, then let's talk about making them wider for the potential of high traffic that's going to be go up and down. But when you're going through a residential district, you want narrow streets to slow the traffic down or even defer them from coming in. Now, whether or not the city council wants to make parking or no parking or hour parking or I don't care about the parking part of it. But, you know, I think that narrowing streets down in the city down to 30-foot wide is a reasonable action. So that could be coming your way. There are other things that are street related that didn't get put in, I don't think quite got finished. And we're looking at that. We're going through with Jason to get those put in properly. And I can't give you examples of them because one, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've dealt with it. But all those things will be coming before you as we progress throughout the year. Hopefully even before the end of the year. So it takes a while to get them put in. Liz helps us out a bunch in getting them properly put into the UDO, and we're very thankful for her efforts in that. So there are other activities coming your way. We're trying to finalize things at the RISI 7 subdivision. All the utilities are now in, but the challenge that they have is they can't set the street in, and the reason why they can't set the street in is they have found out that the inlets for the storm sewers aren't proper. So today they called to see if they could make some adjustments to the boxes. I've made contact with sewer maintenance to ask that question. The answer was yes, they could, as long as they continue to have a drop for solids to go into, so they're not floating on into the ponds or into the ditches. So we're working through that. So I'm hoping that by October, we're bringing before you the secondary for the Rissy 7 subdivision, as hopefully the street will be in and the curbs will be in, and once again, the sidewalks won't, they'll get put in. What's unique about that versus the Meadowbrook subdivision, the lots are very large lots, just like they are in Meadowbrook, but this is going to be open to more than likely city contractors, builders in the city that want to put homes up. We have 2 or 3 of them, and so they'll be able to potentially put homes up in this subdivision. But we're hoping to bring that to you in October to pass the secondary for Rissy 7. Much needed. I can tell you there's a lot of conversations about multifamily dwellings. Last week I've had several conversations with different developers. So that could be coming your way depending on how that moves forward. And because that'll be a development thing that I'll want to bring before you for your 2 cents on also. Other than that, that's about all that I have.
Back to the comprehensive plan update. We had some initial discussion at the first meeting, primarily the questions I raised. Are we going to more or less amend the current plan or do a whole new plan? Especially, and then if we're going to do a whole new plan, should we do it in conjunction with maybe the county, particularly going west? And the decision was made to basically revise the current plan. So we really won't be advertising it as a whole new plan, are we?
No, but
More revisions, a revised plan rather than a whole new plan?
But I can tell you that the mayor has asked our Kimberly Black, our community, to look into potential grant opportunities to look at a new comprehensive plan. So I know that's being looked at as a possibility, not saying that it's going to happen.
As of right now, we're just updating it. So information that is old or, obscure that doesn't really apply anymore, we're taking that out and we're replacing that. And that's pretty much what we're doing with it at this point.
So I just kind of wanted to clarify that what we get is going to be kind of similar looking to what we have now, with just quite a few updated phrases and paragraphs and
Changing
same
dates.
format generally, but sometime down the road, we need to take a look at the bigger
I do. I agree.
I was just gonna let you guys know, I have all the files for the current comprehensive plan. Back when you were in area plan, I did those in InDesign, so I don't need to be involved in your process any more than you want me to, but when you decide what it is you're doing, especially if it's an
good
update,
to know.
I can amend that for you and produce a draft for you to look at.
Great.
So.
Guess what? I'll be talking.
Well, I mean, it's already there, so it doesn't make sense for you guys to try to pay somebody a bunch of money to recreate something I already have in an
Well,
existing file.
and especially because we're not really changing it, we're just updating it to current status, so.
Yeah, and even the draft version that we have been going through has left out some of Liz's great graphics, and those really won't be changing much, and so we need to even get it into the review document, as I think we talked a bit about the last meeting, but definitely in the final draft document, we need to get all the fine graphics into all the maps, all the.
I actually made copies for you, but you didn't show up to the meeting today. So
Was there a meeting today?
there was.
I thought I missed it yesterday too. I missed it.
I didn't mean to call you out.
I did.
I was going to ask, that's going to be my last question, is when's the next comprehensive plan meeting?
It's in October.
It'll be October. It'll be the week of the council meeting, which is the week of the 14th, be the 16th.
October 16th.
Will be our next
3:30
meeting.
PM.
It's my fault. I didn't send out any notification that, hey, don't forget we're meeting, but I will be for the 16th.
I talked enough at the first one and two. It's more than enough for the missed meeting, so. I said everything I needed to say, so. Because I was thinking, we're just one meeting from being done. So you must have really made some good progress today then.
Made good progress today.
Because I wasn't talking.
Had a lot of good conversation, a lot of good conversation today.
So any other items the members would like to bring up, or staff, or pretty much?
I'm good, unless you want to introduce Mr. Salba here. He's our new member of the Plan Commission, and we're happy to have him here with us. Now we're actually complete, and it takes a lot of pressure off of the board as making sure we had quorums here, and a lot of pressure off of Miranda and I to make sure that we had quorums here. So we're very happy to be back to full strength. Isaac's not here, as he has a relative in the hospital, and so that's why he's not here. So, but I'm all happy that we're all one big happy family again.
You're replacing Greg Slot, right?
That's right,
Just for the record, yeah.
right.
There's no other business, and we will entertain for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, just voice vote, aye.
Aye.
And I guess we're adjourning, and who do you need to sign the plan?
I need everybody to sign all kinds of stuff.
Okay, hold on, because we have a,
You got my revisions, yeah.
we all got a signed,
Everybody's.
I'm gonna turn off YouTube.
Oh, got you. I don't. You need anything else? Are you good? I'm gonna go eat.
I might have to go to church after all tonight, no. No, I already said I'm not gonna be there. 'Cause I usually run the PowerPoint at church, you know, and
What time is it?